Never fear of missing out by clicking that subscribe button and becoming another member of the Babylonian family. Hey there Babylonians, my name is Songs of Rays and I'm back with another top 5 video to bring to you today, and today we are going to be looking at the top 5 mistakes, the common mistakes you can make in the expeditions or the end game when it comes to Outriders. Now if you're fairly new to the game, the expeditions are the end game content and they have their own world tier and challenge tier level to be able to grind up again, get even higher gear tier than you finish the game with, and comes with brilliant chances of being able to obtain some legendary loot and basically max your build out to the fullest of its extent. And it does at the end be able to reward you with a Eye of the Storm expedition, which can only be done at level 15 and is basically supposed to be the ultimate test in terms of if your build is good enough or if your fire team is up for scratch as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 5 things that I think are common mistakes when it comes to endgame in all the time that I've been playing Outriders, and we're just going to break it down, and we'll just, if any of these relate to you, drop us a comment in the section below and just let us know of the experience that you've had with that. But let's get cracking on with number 1. So coming in at number 1, we have got using legendaries for the sake of them being legendary status and quality. Now, for example, most of the guns in this game, when it comes to legendaries, are very comparable in terms of their stats to that of a purple variant of the exact same quality. So for example, like the Body Snatcher is not a very good legendary shotgun. The mod itself is unique, I'll give it that. The shotgun itself looks amazing to actually carry around with you, but when it comes to actually killing things, it's not very good, I don't think. And it's the damage and the clip size and all those kind of stats that roll on the weapon card are very similar to that of a purple shotgun that is also of the breach variant. But when you have like a breach variant kind of shotgun, you are limiting yourself because it takes away a little bit of your damage and it also reduces your mag size by 3. So you're essentially cutting it in half. So why would you use the Body Snatcher when it's not giving you any real benefit, when you could just be making work and just tearing enemies to shreds with a much better weapon, which is a purple standard variant shotgun? And that's the main thing that really holds some of these legendaries back. And because they're not all created equal, they're not all viable in a competitive or an end game kind of state. And most people just see the yellow and they just go, wow, it's a legendary, it's got to be good, I'm going to have to equip it onto my build. And it's just not the case for some of the legendaries out there, and you are much better off with a purple. The main case in point is for a Technomancer, because when you get the Inferno Seed, you think, wow, you're onto a real winner here. And it's not like it's a bad choice. The Inferno Seed is really, really good, but when you compare that to the Earthborn assault rifle, which came out and was at the time re-rollable. Obviously it can't be done at the moment, but that was the thing back then. And the Earthborn was just so much better because it ended up having a mod that didn't interfere with the blighted rounds that you were going for as a firepower Technomancer, and it only did it on kill. So essentially the Earthborn was just a much better overall gun than the Inferno Seed was, because you could re-roll it consistently on a new character to be able to get a much higher firepower one. It was much easier to farm and it was just easier to use, and it didn't interfere with your build as much as the Inferno Seed did. So take it from me, just because it's legendary does not mean it's better than what you've currently got on your setup, but it's worth to be able to balance those pros and cons. Moving on to number 2, and this one always catches me out, and I don't know about anyone else that's watching this video, and that's underestimating the red barrels in this game. If you're not planning to use them, make sure you shoot them before you get close, because these things have basically what feels like the explosion radius of a nuclear bomb that's just been it's genuinely insane as to how many times I get caught out by these red barrels thinking that I'm safe away from them, I don't have to worry about them anymore, and then the next thing I know, bam, like 75% of my health is gone, I'm now on fire, and I have to do a roll to try and put it out. And obviously, because sometimes this game doesn't like to put the fire out even though you do the roll, you're consistently losing health, and you've got the other people that are shooting you at the same time. Now don't get me wrong, red barrels can be really, really helpful, especially when you're early on in the expeditions, and you're looking to red barrels are sometimes situationally placed next to like a spawn location for a bunch of enemies. Case in point is Chemplant, and then you go into the second section just when the gate falls down, and you've got all the like about 5-6 enemies that jump over the wall. There is a red barrel that's positioned perfectly for there, and it's really good at being able to deal quite a bit of damage and inflict a little bit of status, which is great, and that's exactly what you need. But they're also placed in positions where you don't want them to be, like on corners of stairs, and even like on your mods that do like on killing shots, or some kind of like slight like radius explosion, that triggers off the red barrels, and sometimes you don't even notice it because there's not even an audio cue, and the next thing you know, you've been staggered, you've been hurt, and then you get finished off, and it's just so annoying, and it winds me so much up that I've got probably close to 200 hours in this game just playing the Technomancer, and every single time I always underestimate how big of a radius this has. So keep on your guard, make sure you keep an eye out for those barrels. If you're not planning to use them to be able to help your run, I would say shoot them first before you get anywhere near them, that way you don't have to worry about it when you get a little bit closer. But if you are planning to use it, make sure that you do actually use it and you stay well enough away. Coming in nicely at number 3 is for more of you co-op players that are out there that play in groups, and this one requires a little bit of communication to be able to get right, and that's when you come to doors or levers or that open the next section up, the ones that reset all your skills. It's best just to make sure which player actually needs to be able to use it. So this is a really useful tool for resetting anything. So if you have long cooldowns, and the first thing that really comes to mind are Technomancers with their blighted rounds, where they have to wait almost a solid minute depending on how much of a cooldown they've got going on in their build. It's horrible to be able to wait that long just to be able to get your rounds back, just for like a small, just for a full mag to be able to come back. It's sometimes best for a Technomancer to actually take the lead and open that door for the rest of the squad, but it also can be useful for like a Pyro that's just used all its skills and you're literally ready and waiting for that next room, and essentially, all it takes is just a quick message to whoever you're playing with, just a quick ask, just who needs the cooldowns, who needs the reset, and then that can be easily solves it. So many times have me and Damwares and Benzo, we've just gone a bit over the top. We want to be able to get like those quick runs, and we've just not even been paying attention, and next thing you know, I've only got 3 blighted rounds left in my magazine, and I'm not going to be able to get a kill with that, unfortunately, at CT15. It's just not going to happen, regardless of who I shoot. So I could have done with like opening a door in that kind of situation. That really affects times, and sometimes that could be the cost between getting a gold and getting a silver. So just make sure when you're in a co-op, just ask the party who needs the cooldown, and then just make sure that that person opens the door, and that's just a nice, simple way to be able to fix that problem. Number 4 is just a personal tip of mine, and I've said this several times on a Facebook group, just trying to help out new players that have just got to expeditions, and this is just, there is no need to rush through the endgame challenge tier levels just to be able to get yourself to tier 50. Now, the idea behind the expeditions is that you're supposed to take your time, you're supposed to be able to run through a certain level several times just to be able to get your gear up to your top level, and then push on into the next one to then challenge yourself and just go from there. A lot of people just seem to think that it's as simple as just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and just doing it in one go, and it just doesn't work out like that. You will have a bad time, and so many people seem to get frustrated when their build doesn't quite stack up to be able to get to like CT11, for example, and then they rely on other people in the community to be able to help them out there, and that's not a problem. That is obviously the community is there to be able to support, and obviously Babylon will also do our best to be able to help out in that kind of respect as well, because that's what we're here for. But you've got to take your time with this thing. Obviously boosting is great if you've got the friends and the teammates that can do that for you, and they've got the time and the patience. But when it comes to like doing it solo, you've got to take your time. I definitely have been through. I'm pretty confident through my Technomancer. I got stuck at like CT10 for several times, and I had to go through that several times just to be able to get my build to some kind of capacity to be able to then tackle CT11, and then to get to CT15s in the first place, you have to get gold on CT14, and that in itself, it can be a tall ask when you've just hit CT14 on that side. So just take your time, enjoy yourself, pace yourself, and just know that there's going to be a little bit of a grind just to be able to get yourself to that very, very end tier. before I get on to the last common mistake that's in this top 5, I do want to give an honourable mention, which is basically the most popular thing that I have ever seen when it gets mentioned on the Facebook groups, when it gets mentioned on expeditions, when it comes to Chempland, and that's just make sure you're in the elevator. There are a lot of people out there that obviously see all the bosses that come out of that certain section on Chempland, and they just want to be able to go ham and just be able to take them out. Now, I understand the reason why they're doing that. One, because it's cool to be able to wipe out every single enemy. Some just don't understand that the elevator actually does turn up before you have to kill all the enemies, which is fine, and that's obviously a learning process that we as a community just need to just reinforce every single time we have a new player with us. But there's also the fact that you get some loot drops out of it. Now, because you've killed an elite, you do have a chance of being able to get some nice blue, purple, or even legendary gear out of that when you do the drop pod at the end, and it increases how many drops you get, which is nice, don't get us wrong, but sometimes the difference between killing those elites and then getting on the elevator, or just jumping straight into the elevator, can be 10, 20, 30 seconds, and the amount of times that I've done expeditions when it's cut it that fine, that if I hadn't have got into the elevator that quick, that it would have actually affected and gone down to like a silver reward, is too many to count for me. So it is a common mistake, it is easily fixed. There is a loud audio cue to let you know when the elevator is there, and if that doesn't make you turn around, then I don't know what else will. But just remember, if you're on Chempland, you're with others that you don't know, just wait for that elevator to hit and then just jump straight in, because we're trying to get all hit for CT15 gold, and we need those extra seconds. So coming in at number 5, and this is probably the most important because I main as a Technomancer, and that's stealing minion kills. Now, I know you're going to ask me, Songs, what do you mean by stealing minion kills? There's obviously enemies in front of me, we need to clear it out as quickly as possible. Why are you telling me that I need to be mindful about that? Well, the main thing is that Technomancers do struggle. This is probably most important if you have a Technomancer on your team, but Technomancers rely on getting kills to be able to refresh their magazine. Now, obviously that can be done through Trick Up the Sleeve, which doesn't require Toxic on an enemy, or you've got Toxic Lead, which does then require Toxic on an enemy. So it's kind of difficult to be able to differentiate between which enemies you need to worry about that are low health and which ones you don't. But when it comes to like Tricksters, they don't necessarily need to have the kills to be able to refresh their ammo, whereas Technomancers do. And this is probably the main key point, really, that even though there's a little bit of lag on the server, sometimes it doesn't register as more bullets, it doesn't help the Technomancer if you're finishing off their low health prey. So just be a bit considerate. Just if you've got them on comms, then speak to them, make sure they've got some effective comms going down to let you know which ones that you don't need to worry about. But the easiest way to find and to stop this, to be able to just be mindful about the whole thing, is if you see Toxic above their head and they've got some kind of status that's along those lines on them, leave them alone. The Technomancer will probably either be focusing them right now, or they will be coming back to them at some point to be able to boost up their Sharp Eye, or their Killing Spree, or anything else that's currently on their build, but also to refresh the bullets that are in their mag to be able to help the team have their high DPS keep going. So that is it, Babylonians. That is my top 5 list for common mistakes that I have seen in the end game and the expeditions levels for Outriders. Now, I understand that a lot of these are really easy fixes, and some of these are pretty much trivial when it comes to certain people. There might even be a few of you out there that have not had any of these happen to you, and you are the perfect Outriders, and there is nothing for you to worry about. And in which case, I am sorry that I've wasted your time in that sense. But there are a lot of us out there who have either committed 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe even all 5 of these are out there, and it's up to us as a community to be able to identify and to be able to fix it, so that if we do have randoms join our team, if we do put ourselves out there to be able to do carries, if we do any kind of content, even if it's just solo, we need to be mindful as so that we can increase our times, we can make sure that we hit gold as often as possible. So that pretty much wraps it up. So that just leaves me with things to say, like, thank you very much for all the support that's currently going on for the channel. I know I say it every single time, but it genuinely does mean a lot to all of us. We've done 2 streams, we've had 2 donations. It really does, it's all stuff that's going to go back into the community. It's going to make sure that our streaming is better, it's going to make sure our video quality is better, it's going to be essentially anything to be able to make sure that the content that we are bringing to you is the best that it can be. Now, it's up to me to be able to remind you that we do have a Discord. We have turned it into a community Discord, and we've already got a few members on there that are chatting away, and they're getting their help for their builds that they need. We're having friendly chats. Make sure that if you're watching this, if you're subscribed and you've liked the video, just click into the Discord link, come pop over there, say hi. We're all friendly people over there, and if you have any questions whatsoever when it comes to build, or it's just in general, or anything that we can help you out with, just drop it in the Discord, and worst we can do is just say no, but we'll quite happily have a chat with you about the whole thing. And when it comes to build discussions and all that side, if it's something I can help you out with, I will let you know, and I'll let you know my impressions. But when it comes to things like Pyro or Trickster, which I haven't delved into just myself just yet, we do have other people that are on the Discord that are actually equipped to be able to help you out with that as well. So even if it's not me that's able to help, we can definitely get someone to be able to help you out as well. So we'd love to see you over there, so make sure you click that link that's in the description below. And as I always say, keep yourself safe, keep yourself well, and I'll see you all on the next video.